Hi, everybody. I know you are all coming in. Welcome to this webinar, What Employers Need to Know About Sponsoring H-1B Workers for Green Cards. It's inspired by many of the questions that I have been receiving lately. So hopefully you will get a lot of information, practical information out of this. So it is the top of the hour. So again, I'm going to welcome you all. Thank you for being here. I am going to be talking to you about what employers need to know about sponsoring H-1B workers for green cards. I know that we have a combination of employers and foreign workers here, and I welcome you all, but just know that I'm mostly going to be focused on the questions that I have been getting from employers, which typically is questions they get from the foreign workers. So I think as a whole, we're going to do well together. My name is Giselle Carson. I am a business corporate immigration attorney. I've been doing this for many, many years, over 20 years now. Many of you are our clients, and I'm very grateful for you partnering with us. And some of you just found me on LinkedIn or saw the webinar advertised and you're here. So you are also welcome. I plan to do this for 30 minutes. I know that you're all very busy, so I have a lot of information to cover. I'm also going to be doing, which I typically do, I do a webinar, and then next week there's going to be a Q&A with Giselle, which will also address some of the issues that we see with this transition from H-1B to green card or PERM. So be on the lookout for that Q&A next week. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover today. An overview of the H-1B and the green card, in this case, employment-based green card, the importance. So why is it important for the employer, and what are the benefits and for the employer and for the foreign worker to do this transition from H-1B to a green card, the process timeline, the key steps, challenges and how to overcome them, and then an exciting invitation at the end that I'm very happy to talk to you about. Now, again, we're only going to be here for 30 minutes. I know, and I'm the worst multitasker, but the best way for you to learn this information or to get the most out of this webinar is to actually tune out and tune in. So as much as possible, turn off our distractions, be with me for 30 minutes, and you're really going to get the most out of this. I also believe that the way that we learn the most is that we actually engage in the process of learning. So I am going to be asking you questions, and I'm going to be asking you to participate so that I don't feel like I'm here by myself. Every case is unique. And with my lawyer hat on, I guess, I typically get questions on the Q&A that are very case specific, and I will not be able to answer those. But again, everything that I'm going to be giving you is kind of the big overview of what this process is about. Again, corporate immigration attorney for over 20 years. I have a passion for what I do. That's what I've been able to do it for so long. I have an amazing team that works with me. So together, we put our experience, our energy, and our passion to help you achieve your goals and bring in amazing foreign talent to our country. I'm going to be asking you, and hopefully most of you have a phone, digital phone with you. Have it in hand, because I'm going to be asking you to scan things. This is one of them. If you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, I also post a lot on LinkedIn. Please follow me, connect with me. It's another opportunity to stay together and to share our energies in that platform. Now, here's my first ask of you. Just want to make sure that you're with me and you're paying attention on it. And also for you as a gauge of, how comfortable are you with this process right now? And I'm going to be asking you the same question at the end when we finish the presentation. So on a scale 1 to 10, how comfortable, what is your level of knowledge in about this transition from H-1Bs to the green card process? So let me know in the chat. Give yourself a number. What do you think you're at now? A 1, a 7, a 3, a 2? Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can send a direct message to me if you want to, whichever way. But it helps me and it helps you understand where you're at. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. And for those of you that have not jumped in, please. It helps you, and it also helps me that you're here with me. So send me direct messages and let me know where you're at if you don't want to just post it as a group. Okay. My goal is also to get whatever number you're at to at least 2 or 3 or 4 numbers more. Let's see if we can make that happen together. Okay. So overview of the H-1B and the green card. Now, some of you are an H-1B status or are looking into an H-1B. So I am going to give you a little bit of a background of what an H-1B is. It is the most desired and versatile U.S. work visa. And because it is in huge demand, it's also the most abused and the most regulated. So for those of you that are on H-1B or have been through the process, you probably understand where I'm coming from. Unlike some work visas, not many, don't require an employer sponsorship, but certainly the H-1B does, meaning that you need to have an employer that is filing the H-1B petition for the employee or the foreign worker, is considered to be a specialty occupation, meaning that the candidate has to have at least a bachelor's degree or higher, and the bachelor's degree must be required to do the job duties. And then in addition to that, as part of the regulations that come with this, there is wage notices, labor condition applications, lots of extra requirements that other visas do not have. Now the benefits. Why is there such a big demand for an H-1B visa? First, there are not many, unlike what you may read in the newspapers or hear in the news, there really are not many work visas out there, which is really unfortunate. So we handle, all we do is corporate immigration. So all we handle is work visas. And there is about maybe 10 or less that we just keep on coming back to, because that is really what we have to work with for our employers. And I would even say 7 categories, and that's about it, which is not a lot considering the diversity of our economy, the diversity of the jobs that are on the workplace. So the H-1B is very beneficial for employers because it has some versatility, unlike some of the other work visas that are really for very specific positions, sometimes very specific countries. This one is broader, so it's very useful for employers that are looking to hire global talent. Again, it's applicable to a variety of professions. There is no restriction about a particular country. And it's also there's only 2 work visas that are they're called dual intent, meaning that you can be on that visa and also apply for a green card and not run into trouble with the government, because at the end of the day, you intend to live in the United States under a green card. The H-1B and the L1 and the L visa are the only ones that have this benefit. And that is another reason why this transition from H-1 to a green card is this information is so desired. Interesting facts: Elon Musk and Mike Krieger Both had H-1B visas at some point. That's how they came into this country. And again, it's a very good tool, good visa for companies that are looking to innovate, companies that are looking to grow, and have a wide access to various professions and foreign talent. It comes also with some limitations, and those limitations they're job and employer specific. So when we file for an H-1B for a professor or for a designer or for a computer scientist, that H-1B is for that specific position and for that specific employer. If that foreign worker wants to work for a different employer in a different position, or the same employer but a completely different position, then there is some changes that have to happen to the H-1B visa. So that's one of the limitations. It's very specific. So we work closely with our clients in deciding what position, what title is the foreign worker going to be in, because that is, and then we want to create something that is flexible enough that a year from now, you don't have to come back and amend. It's finite. So it has a maximum of 6 years. And this is very, very important. That's why I put it in bold. And that is one of the reasons that H-1B workers and employers look into the green card process. And you're going to understand that in a second once I go to the transition to it from H-1 to a green card. But in the gist of it is that after 6 years, if the green card process have not begun and it's at a certain stage for the foreign worker, then there is no extensions. 6 years is the maximum time that a foreign worker is allowed to be on an H-1B visa. And after that, they will have to leave the country for 1 year and then come back. So that could be, imagine if you have a foreign worker on staff for 6 years, and then all of a sudden they have to leave for a year. It is very traumatic for them. It's very traumatic for the business, for your team. And that is one of the reasons to look into the green card process. Another huge limitation of the H is that there is an annual quota of 85,000 visas that become available in April. Now, once the person gets, or the employer gets one of those visas for that particular employee, you don't have to go through the lottery again. It's only, you go through the lottery once. So those are key limitations to the H-1B. So a lot of benefits, but also a lot of limitations. Now you're going to see this slide twice because this is the green card process, the employment-based green card process. I divided into three, that's the way it works. There's 3 phases. The first one is the labor certification that is taken right now at about 2 years. Then we go into the immigrant visa petition that it could take anywhere from 3 months to a year. And the last step is the actual obtaining of the green card, and that's the last step. Again, one of the advantages of the H-1B process, or being an H-1B, is that it allows the foreign worker and the employer to go through this green card process that can take anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 years, depending on where the foreign national is from, depending on the country of birth, while also staying on an H-1B visa and working. So that's just a huge advantage. Okay, the importance of sponsoring H-1B workers for a green card. For the benefit to the employer, talent retention. As I just said, you can have an H-1B for 6 years. It is employer and position specific. And then once you get into the green card process, that same employee may stay with you for 10, 12 years. So huge, it's a huge talent retention tool, competitive edge, competitive advantage. Most of these foreign workers, we do what we do because they have unique talent, unique skills, very hardworking, and they're highly desired by the clients that we serve. Increased company loyalty and commitment, and diversity of skills, diversity of talent, diversity of innovation. It's really a huge advantage for the employer to have some foreign talent in their workspace in this global economy. For the employee, it goes kind of hand in hand, job security, placement in line for a priority date. So once the green card process begins, they are also in line for a green card, the attainment of a dream. I mean, I'm a foreign national myself, so the green card was always a dream that I've achieved many years ago as an employment-based green card holder. So I've been there. And also career opportunities. It's just this combination H-1 green card, really good for, again, employer and employee. The timeline. And this is, so here you go, you see this slide again. It is a very long process. When I started practicing immigration, well, actually, I shouldn't say when I started practicing, they changed the first step, the labor certification. I almost want to say about 12 years ago. I've been practicing for over 20. And at that time, the Department of Labor promised that they had changed the process so that they could give us labor certifications in less than a month, which they did for about a month. And after that, the current timeline for the labor certification process grew from a month to a year and a half. It's unbelievable. But again, that's another reason why being proactive, being here. So kudos to all of you for being here with me is so important, so that you understand that you're up to date as to what's happening now, not what happened 10 years ago or whatever. So labor certification, taking a very long time, is the most intensive part of this process. We carry the burden of this process. We just need your partnership. And literally, this goes for everything that we do in immigration. For many of you that are here that are our clients, you know that we carry the load on most of all of this. We just need you to respond to our emails and communicate with us. Okay, now I'm going to break this down a little more, but up until now, we're about 17 minutes in, so I kind of have to speed up a little. But again, check in with me. Tell me in the chat, has this been helpful so far? Yes, no. And one quick thing that you have learned so far. So I want to make sure that you're with me. So come back to me, give me a yes, I've learned this, and hopefully your level of knowledge is going to come up a little. Awesome. Yeah, the timelines, the process, and the expectations. Good. Thank you. What else? What else has someone else learned? Again, this is for you, and also for for me to make sure that you're here with me. Awesome. Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. And again, if you don't want to put it on the chat, some of you are sending me direct messages, and I appreciate that. Just again, this is for you and it's for me. So cool. So I hear the timelines, the infographics being very helpful, the process. Okay. So the labor certification, again, this big infographic, the first step of the green card process, that PERM labor certification within it has 3 other steps. And I want to say, just for simplicity purposes, each one of those stages takes about 6 months each. That gives us about a year and a half. Those stages are prevailing wage determination, recruitment, and the labor certification, which is what sets the priority date. I get this question asked a lot. Can we premium? Can we pay the government some money to accelerate this process, which is something you can do with some of the cases at the USCIS level when you're filing with USCIS. But this process, the labor certification, is through the Department of Labor, and there is no way to accelerate this process. There hasn't been yet. I haven't seen anything that they're going to allow premium processing for it. I can guarantee you some people would pay to premium this case if it was available, but it's not. So really, we're at the expense of the government's filing timeline, okay? Once we get past the labor certification, the 1.5 years to 2 year process, we go back to Immigration Services, where we file the immigrant petition. It's an I-140. And then after that immigrant petition, which is the equivalent of an H-1B, but in an immigrant category, then the process quite often stops there because we cannot move to step 3, which is the last step of the green card process, because of the person's priority date. And what I mean by that is some foreign workers that are from India, from China, Mexico, there is caps per country. And because there is so many of them applying for a green card, there's a very long line to get a green card. So they basically wait in line before their priority date becomes current to file for a green card. And this is why it's essential that they have an H-1B underneath this process so that they can continue to work and stay in the United States with that green card, while this green card process waits its turn, okay? Okay, so timeline is critical, because remember when I went back and I said to you, the H-1B has a maximum of 6 years. However, if you make it through the green card process to the phase where you are at the I-140 stage, and that's this stage here, the immigrant petition, which is the pink in the middle here, step 2, immigrant visa, I-140, which could take right now to get past this, where the I-140 is approved, it's taking anywhere from 2 to 2.5 years, okay? So what that means, and if we make it to this stage, then we can extend the H-1B beyond the 6 years for 3 more years. So I'm coming back to this infographic, and hopefully this will make sense. So remember that I just said it's taking us about 2.5 years to get to the I-140 stage, and once we get here, we can extend the H-1B beyond 6 years. That means that this process from PERM phase 1 to I-140 needs to begin at the latest when the H-1B employee is in their 4th, at the latest in their 3.5 years of H-1B status. That's what's happening right now. That's at the latest. So then we have 2.5 years of H-1B status to make it to the end of the I-140 stage, and then renew for another 3 years. Now, again, I'm just giving you the very high overview of this. With our clients, we take this one step at a time. We monitor every step of the way. We talk to you along the way because it is complicated. But I am, again, grateful and very proud of you that you're here, because many don't have a clue of this. And I get clients that their foreign workers are on their last 3 months of H-1B status, and they want to extend and they can't, because we just don't have enough time. And that person has to go abroad or has to leave the country and wait abroad. And it can be very, very complicated. But if you plan and you are proactive about it, then you have, imagine now you have a worker that has been with you for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. The value, the continuity, the depth of knowledge, all of it that would go away if you didn't have the proactive planning, okay? So very, very important to keep that in mind, the link between the H-1B and the PERM status. So H-1B extensions beyond the 6 years, the best approach is to actually make it to the I-140 petition and get a 3-year extension. Now, right now, those labor certifications sometimes are pending for longer than a year. And for the first time in my career, I am going to be, and hopefully not, I mean, just last, I want to say 2 weeks ago, we got 3 PERMs certified on the same day. That has not happened ever. And for those cases right now, we're actively filing the I-140s so that then we can get a 3-year extension on their H-1Bs. But there are some that their PERMs have been pending for over a year. And we're probably going to, if we don't get that PERM certified, we may have to use this 1-year H-1B extension that is also available under the law, not as preferred as the 3-year extension, but in some cases, that's the best we can do, okay? Again, this is the whole gist of this presentation is how important it is to be proactive and the benefits of this H-1B green card process. Now, the challenges, as you have heard me say, it is a complex, the whole thing is very complex. It's long, it's fluid. You have to be on top of the changes. There could be audits. There is a lot of documentation that is required. We keep track of all of that, so you don't have to. There is recruitments that have to happen. We do that for you. Of course, there's costs. There's priority dates that go forwards, that go back. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, it's not an easy process. And if you hear people say, oh, those, what are they complaining about? Well, there is a lot to complain about. This could be a lot easier than what it is. But we have managed it for all of our clients. And this is how. Proactive and engaged teamwork. Experienced corporate immigration team. This is all we do. We don't do any other kind of immigration. Many other practices do all kinds of immigrations. We specifically focus on corporate immigration because we know it well, and we know that we want to do what we know well for your benefit and ours. Early planning and process initiation, regular updates and communications, robust document management system, audit preparedness and compliance checks, financial planning, and strategic case management. This is how we overcome the many, many challenges that come with this process. How are you feeling now? Remember those 1s and 2s and 3s? I know you may not be super motivated, but in us to the level of knowledge, where are we versus where we began? Send me a few more DMs or show me that. Okay, fabulous. Okay, all right. Those are big jumps on those numbers. So I'm happy that you're here. Happy that you're learning. Okay. Okay. Now I have, yeah. And again, with our clients, we spend time one-on-one so that we can, this is a very broad overview, and I'm just grateful that you're here. Now, I also remember that I said to you, have your phone handy. I also have a lot of information on the YouTube channel. So please go there, subscribe so that you also get updates. I mean, this presentations get posted there. The Q&As get posted there. There's a lot of information, practical and truthful and reliable. I don't put stuff in there just to create news. This is one of the questions that I get. What is the purpose of PERM? Why do I have to go through all of this? Well, that is answered in the YouTube channel. I think I have some very short answers, and this is one of them. So check that out. Go to the YouTube channel and check it out. And again, there's a lot more in there. Okay, now, exciting invitation that I mentioned to you at the beginning. I have asked my clients, I know it takes time to come and listen to webinars and whatnot. I have been asking if I do a podcast, and it will be a combination of guest interviews, Q&As, repurposing some of the webinar content, but it will be a AC access for you that you can, if you walk, if you're driving and you listen to podcasts, if you're at home and you listen to podcasts. This is another way that I'm going to take on to pass on information to you. So who is excited about that? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a neutral in the chat. Is this something that you would be interested in being a part of? Basically registering and listening to podcast about corporate immigration. Yes, okay, awesome. So it will launch in July, that's the plan. So please, for you that are here and for those that you think will benefit from it, go ahead and scan the QR code, put your name on the list. The only thing that that's going to do is when it's launched, is going to let you know that we're up and going. The first one is just going to be welcome to the podcast. And then another question that being asked a lot lately is what does the presidential election, what would happen depending on who is our next president to the immigration world? And I've avoided that question, but I've been asked so many times that that's going to be one of my podcasts, upcoming podcasts. So be on the lookout for it. And again, thank you for being here. I am honored, and my team is honored to partner with you on your talent acquisition and retention. Our country is the country of immigrants, and we will continue to need foreign talent to grow into the future. So thank you. Something else that so we're at the top of the hour, 2:32, yay. Something else that I have not done before, but I'm going to do today because I know this is such a complicated topic. I am done with the webinar, so the content piece of it. So you are welcome to go if you want to. I am also going to be here for the next 5-10 minutes to answer questions that are not case specific. But if you have questions as to what I talked about that you kind of go, can you repeat that? Can you explain that to me again? I'm here. So put it in the chat and I will answer that for you. Again, I don't want to take more time of your time if you don't have time to be here beyond the 30 minutes. But if you have a question for me that I can answer, I will do that. And if I don't get any questions, then that means that I did a fabulous job. And okay, that's a good question. Is an EAD a form of an H-1B? No, it is not. So an EAD is an employment-based, so it's an employment authorization document, okay? So an employment authorization document, you will get that as in various ways, but not an H-1B. An H-1B is a work visa. An EAD is an employment authorization document that you get when you are a student. So say an F1 student, and they go into optional practical training or they go into a STEM OPT, they will get an employment authorization document. Certain foreign workers that come out, or certain foreign nationals, really not, that come into the country as asylees or refugees, will get an employment authorization document as their work authorization. There is, I want to say now there's like 32 different categories under which you can get an employment authorization document, but it's not an H-1B. It's not an H-1B, it's not an L or an O or a TN. Those are all work visas, okay? All right, cool. Let's see. What is the price range that an employer should expect to pay on this process? It depends. So I always tell my clients, we're not, and please don't get me wrong, I don't have anything wrong with McDonald's or anything wrong with, I don't know, who is at the top of the list? Ruth Chris, say. A hamburger at McDonald's or a hamburger at Ruth Chris, you know, there's a huge variety depending on what you're looking for. We're not at McDonald's, we're not a Ruth Chris, we're somewhere in between, and every case is very different. So the way we begin our H-1B cases is with a research and investigation, and that typically ranges between $2,000 or $3,000, depending on what the case is going to be. An H-1B is typically a $2,000 research and investigation for the benefit of the employer and our benefit, because we don't know what we're getting into. We don't know what is the background of the employee, or even if they have access to an H-1B visa. So we start there, and once we do a research and investigation, then we can tell you, this is the price range that you're potentially going to look at based on the background of the employee, based on the background of the employer, and where we're going to go. Okay? What else? What employees need to know? That was the question. What employees need to know about sponsoring H-1B workers for a green card? Don't know. I kind of see a question, but I don't necessarily see it. Okay. Any other questions? We're good? Okay, everybody. Thank you again so much for being here. I think this was helpful because I saw those numbers go up, and the engagement. So I appreciate it. Be on the lookout for the Q&A that will come out next week. It will answer some of the questions or some of the things that you heard me say, but potentially a little bit deeper. And look out for the podcast and the YouTube channel. Lots of stuff out there, and we're always here to help you with the case-specific questions, okay? Take care, everybody. Happy June. Bye-bye.